Welcome to all for our usual Saturday kind of, we can say it's retreat, but it's based on the internet and Zoom. So it's not a physical retreat, but to me, every Saturday, our Sky Yoga sessions are retreat. Thank you for asking me to present my views today. The topic given to me is pure consciousness and self. This is one of my very close to heart topic. Somebody may say, Doctor, you always say this for all your talks, but I really mean it. The reason why I really mean it is, this is the ultimate talk. There is no other topic equivalent to this topic. If you make a talk on, say, Kaya Kalpa or chakras or meditation, they are all for self. So, Kaya Kalpa and meditation will improve your self. But if you have to discuss the pure consciousness and self, how to understand what is what, I don't think there is any other topic which can supervene this particular talk. It's a very deep topic, and I am so glad that I was able to understand it till now, and I hope my understanding will improve, and my aim is to transcribe whatever the understanding I have on this topic to this August audience. I hope if you are able to understand everything what I mean and everything which I don't mean by sentences, that is the end of the whole discussion. Why I say everything I don't mean by the words? Because these topics are very intriguing. If somebody is able to hear with completely open ears and mind and heart, this will definitely tickle very particular area of your brain, and you may understand even sometimes more than what I actually mean by words. That's why I said it's important to understand what I mean by words and also what I haven't meant in the actual physical words. This topic is beyond words, but let's try to construct it within the words. Now, let us first define what is pure consciousness and what is self. Defining pure consciousness is maybe slightly easier for me in this audience because I'm sure most of you may have heard my previous talk on Brahmanyanam, whether it's live or as a recorded YouTube link. So pure consciousness means, if you can recall that picture which I showed you in the Brahmanyanam, it is equivalent to the Shiva Kalam. Absoluteness, as Maharishi says, Puranatvam, Vatrayiruppu, and it is absolute intelligence brimming with energy, but there is no activity. That is the Shiva Kalam. And then what happened is there are some small quantum fluctuations which happened and disappeared and happened and disappeared for many years, and at one point the fluctuations have become good enough to produce the Big Bang. That's where the Shakti Kalam starts and the whole universe formed. We discussed this very detail, and we also discussed a little bit about the multiverse and multi-Big Bang theories also during my previous talk. So pure consciousness means you need to remember that it is something to do with the Shiva Kalam, which is the absoluteness. No qualities but brimming with energy, and that is the source for everything. If you think that something is producing that pure consciousness, whatever producing the pure consciousness, that will become pure consciousness. So this theory is very finite. Okay, so that is pure consciousness. Then what is self? Again, very simple. In my talk, I will try to make whatever I speak as simple as possible, as you may heard in the past. Self means just us. That's it. We call the word like yourself, myself. So self means, for me it's me, for you it's you. And we can divide the self into two things. One is the body, which you are seeing, and other one is the mind, by which you think, you cognize, and you do your daily activities. So self is very simple, body and mind. Pure consciousness, very difficult, but we made it very simple. That is the Shiva Kalam, that is the ultimate Purnatvam from which everything happened. Even if there are multiverse, there will be an origin for the multiverse, that is the pure consciousness. So there is a small misnomer here you can easily recognize. We all think consciousness means something which is bundled to this body and mind. So I'm conscious now, and if I'm sleeping means people will think he is not consciousness, he is sleeping. So that's why when Ganga Kumaran sir asked me to talk on consciousness and self, I purposefully asked him that the title should be pure consciousness. The consciousness what we all use day in and day out is filled with something. For example, I'm conscious I'm talking to you in this Sky Yoga session. I'm consciousness and I'm riding a bicycle. I'm consciousness I'm seeing a patient, I'm operating. So the consciousness is always filled with something. The consciousness is always filled with the self, which is our body and mind. Pure consciousness means there is nothing. It is the ultimate from which everything happened. So that is the definition of the pure consciousness, which absolutely stands aside from the usual consciousness term which we use in the day in and day out. Now, how this pure consciousness and self functions? Pure consciousness, as I explained now, there's no function. It is absolute stable. If you see the pictures or statues of Shiva, he is always like in a meditative state, immobile and status quo. That's it. So there is no real function of it. But because of that only, everything functions. Okay. And how the self function, we know. How my body functions as a doctor, I know much better. How my mind functions, there are a lot of mind related research happening, and we all will know, and the research is still going on. Why we say that the self is a kind of auto functioning? Why the self is auto functioning and why it is not under our control? Okay, what do you mean by auto functioning? You may be saying, no doctor, my self is not auto functioning. I think purposefully. I can think purposefully, okay, today afternoon what I can cook for my lunch. I can do purposefully, I can take my mobile phone. So I act on my own. That's what we believe. I say the self actually auto functions. What do the auto function means? You may have heard about some of my previous talk on karmas, and also how our self is controlled by various planetary motions and everything. Because of the planetary controls only, we do that specific so powerful Navagraha Davam, which helps us to coincide with all the planets, so that the self auto function is automatically becoming normal. So in our body, if you take, we have two types of nervous system. One is the voluntary nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The name is quite self-explanatory. Autonomic nervous system functions automatic. For example, digestion, breathing, and heart rate, heart beating, and sweating. So everything is automatic. So everybody will agree that autonomic nervous system is automatic. Everybody will agree with that. Only this voluntary nervous system, like lifting my hand, speaking, we think that we have full control over it. But in reality, the self auto functions. We associate the auto functioning body and mind, which is ourself, and think that we are them. We are deciding, we are riding a car, we are making these big decisions, we are making these small decisions, we quarrel with the neighbor, we speak to our children, etc. So the self actually auto functions. Why it is important to know the self is auto functioning? We can explain it. It's an entirely different topic, or a very big topic. The self is auto functioning based upon the free will concepts, karmas, etc. You can decide small things like, for example, what I can cook for the lunch, which movie I can see today evening, being a Saturday. So those kind of small decisions you can make. But the big decisions like when my body or mind are going to die, what is the ultimate big decisions? Nothing is in our hand. So that's why the self is auto functioning. We can discuss this free will by a small analogy. Just understand that there is a grass area, there is a tree, and a farmer is tying a cow on a long rope, and the cow is grazing around the tree. The cow thinks that the cow don't understand the rope. The cow thinks that I am free, I can graze whatever the grass I have, and there are plenty of food around. I can graze, I can eat, I can sleep, I can sit down. So he thinks that he has all the liberty to do anything what the cow wants. But the cow is tied by the rope with the tree in the center. So that is how our life works. We think we have all the control. We can decide what car to buy, we can decide when to get up. But yes, there is some independence like the cow has with that long rope, but it is not completely independent. The cow can't just like that wander around and go anywhere. Once the cow finishes the grass in that circumference, the tying rope like a radius, then the farmer will come and give some more rope so that the cow can go a little bit more wider and graze a little bit more wider. The cow still thinks that, oh, I have full control. Previously I grazed in this circle, now I am grazing with a better radius. So the cow always understands that he or she is absolutely free. But from outside, the farmer knows that he has complete control over the cow. So like that, our body, the self, which is the mind and body, is got some kind of freedom according to the free will, but not the ultimate freedom. Indirectly, if you could understand the whole concept of pure consciousness, everything is auto functioning. So let us think big. So what happens in the universe? Let us take like Andromeda galaxy. The Andromeda galaxy should be revolving around a kind of a black hole. And if you just get inside, sun is under the control of the Andromeda galaxy. And because of the sun's power and revolution, that creates that torque and that makes the planets to revolve around the sun. And that energy, a part is transferred to the earth, and earth has a rotation, and because of the earth's torque, the moon is going around. So earth, sun, moon, even the earth, sun, moon can't think that they are completely free. They are all controlled by the specific things, and overall the full control is by the Brahmanyanam, which is the ultimate controller of everything, without which nothing has happened. So the self, even though it appears as free, it is got only auto function. Why the self is only auto functioning and why the self is not true? For that, we can take the example like, for example, in Vedanta, there are lots of examples, like, for example, awake, dreaming, and deep sleep. Okay? While awake, we feel like we have full control over our mind and the body. And while dreaming, our body is sleeping, but the mind is going on thinking lot of events, etc. So, do you have control over the body? No. Do you have control over the mind, which is the dream? No. So, everything happens automatically. And then in the deep sleep, once the mind itself has become tired, it goes into a deep sleep state because the amount of pranic energy available in the mind is not enough to produce even the dream. So it needs that restful, non-REM sleep in which everything goes to silence. But what we need to understand is in all these three states, the pure consciousness is still there. The pure consciousness which acts like a background for everything. So in the dream, when our mind automatically thinks something and does something, we all feel like real. It appears real. Last night in the dream, I had a wonderful sweet. I come across a nice movie, and it's so pleasant. And once we wake up, we understand that, oh my goodness, my mind has produced so much of dream, and it was. I hope it will come true at one point, something like that. Or if it's a bad dream, we feel that, oh, that should not happen. Okay. So whatever the mind constructs during the dream state, we all can easily understand that is false. It's only like a construction. But in the awake state, if the mind thinks something, we think it's true. Because at the time, we correlate that this is my mind and this is my body, and whatever it does is true. But I've already explained that the mind and body are controlled by the karmas and free will. So the self and the mind are acting automatically in the awakened state also. In the vacant state also, not awakened state. And why this vacant state, we say it's false, or I say it's false. I'm not sure how many of you have already agreed to my principle, but you will understand at one point. The time taken depends upon individual karma. So let us take how we approach the world in our vacant state. Okay, we are not approaching the world with our legs, with our tummy. We approach the world with our five senses. The five senses are the most important thing. If there are no five senses, we can't approach the world. So the senses you know very well. It's like eyes, nose, taste, hearing, and touch. Five senses. Let us take the eyes for example. Now, we all know that we are able to see the colors, we are able to see the shape, but is it really real? What happens to the vision of a dog? Is the dog's vision is same as us? What happens to the vision of a bat? The bat, because of whatever the infrared vision or something, we know that the vision is slightly different. So, which is true? If a bat sees the garden in the night, maybe in a moonlight, and if you see the same garden under the moonlight, your vision is different from the bat's vision because of whatever the infrared capacity of the bat's vision. So which one is true? How can you assume that you are true, but the bat is got its own equipment, so it slightly deviates from our vision? So the bat can think that what I am seeing is true. These poor human beings don't have that enough spectrum to see. So hearing, similarly the same example, bat can hear much better, wider wavelength compared to a human ear. A snake can hear better than us. What about taste? One person may have some specific taste which is lost, or somebody may be having a different taste. If somebody is a veterinary doctor, they can say that the taste of a dog, cat, everything is different. So what lesson we learn from the senses is, whatever you see, whatever you smell, whatever you taste, whatever you touch and feel, everything is depending on your senses. Your senses only make it up. So I'm seeing you all in this meeting by this laptop camera. You are not seeing me directly. The vision which appears in your phone or the laptop is getting taken by the lens and then getting assimilated by the brain and producing image with the help of the optic cortex, which the occipital cortex makes a very important one, and then the midbrain's ocular associative area constructs the image. So whatever you are seeing is the construction of your body and mind. It is not real. But why we are so comfortable in saying that this laptop is real, this phone is real, is because if I'm able to see the phone, my colleague also can see the phone. If two people can see that, we believe that that's real. So for example, when we are treating the patient, if I have a doubt, can we do this surgery for this problem for this Mr. X? And if my colleague says, yes, that looks a good option, Ananda, I also agree with you, then I feel that, okay, what I thought is correct. So that's how the multi-department meeting works. So we feel that what we see, what we hear is correct if multiple people also hear the same. Think what happens if a dog starts talking and says like, no, 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 what you are saying is wrong, what I see, what I smell is the correct, means then there is a discrepancy. So we always think the human beings are the point of focus, and human beings are the most important one. What we see, what we hear is the ultimate, and we base that as a baseline and then say the dogs deviate from our vision in this way, bats deviate from our hearing in this way. Why is that? Why it should be a human-centered world? It could be a bat-centered world or anything. So this is the main reason why the previous our ancestors thought that the earth is the center and the sun revolves around the earth, because that's what we see. We saw sun rising and sun setting, but ultimately we know they're all wrong. So what you see, what you feel, everything is a reconstruction so that you can run your life comfortably, not hitting against each other. And then the social life came into place, so that there are some rules. A person who is earning more should pay more tax. Person who is earning less can have a bit of a tax-free ratio. So a lot of rules and regulations have come to make sure that the human beings are living in a very cordial manner. So that is the history. So the self is not true. They're all just name and form and construction. Let us take, for example, the Schrödinger's cat experiment, which most of you are very, very familiar. So in simple, there is a radioactive material. We don't know when the radioactive material is going to blow out. When it blow out, there is a cat inside that box. The cat will die. So Schrödinger, it's an imaginary one. Let's don't kill any cats. The Schrödinger left that box and then went out of his lab. So that radioactivity can happen at any time, and if it happens, the cat dies. When the Schrödinger left the box, the cat was alive, the radioactivity never happened. So at any point after Schrödinger left his lab, there are two possibilities. The cat may be alive, the cat may be dead. So what is correct? The only time when which one is correct we know is when Schrödinger go back to his lab, open the box to see, oh, the cat has died because the radioactivity has worked. Let us assume that the death of the cat happened around 10 o'clock in the morning, but Schrödinger comes back to the lab at say 11 o'clock in the morning. Between 10 and 11, there are two possibilities, both may be correct. So that is the quantum science. So between 10 and 11, the mind or the self haven't constructed something strong enough to say the cat is alive, the cat is dead. So both possibilities are equally present, even though the event have happened already. So what a big thing. An event has happened. According to you, if you believe the self is true, your mind is true, if an event has happened, you should know. But you don't know, and at that point, even though the event has happened at 10 o'clock, till Schrödinger come back at 11 o'clock, both the possibilities are equally possible. There is no extra chance for the cat to be alive or cat to be dead. Only after opening the box, we can say this or that. So that is the quantum principle. The quantum principle says the particles or quantum particles can be in two places at the same time. The place where it is depends upon where you look. If you look at one place, the quantum will happen there. If you look at a different place, the quantum activity will happen there. Till you look, it is possible to happen at both the places. I don't want to bring too much of physics because I know the audience of very quality. So I want to keep it very, very simple so that you can reflect what's happening in your day-to-day life. That's more important than the actual quantum principles. So the self, the body and mind are not true in the sense of not ultimately true. They are true only to a certain extent. Our senses produces the images so that you are good enough to have a social life, so that you can tick the boxes of your karma. Everything is linked to each other. My previous talk on karmas, on Brahmanyanam are all linked to each other because everything is linked to that one particular origin from which the whole Big Bang everything came. So they are all linked to each other. Why we are not naturally aware that the pure consciousness is the truth and the self and the mind are not true? Why we don't know that? The reason is we always work by looking out. We always wake up, open the screens in our bedroom, have a good look into the windows to see, oh, what a nice, bright, sunny day, sunny Saturday. Let's go for a walk. So we always try to look out. We always try to get the smell through the nose. We always try to eat something and get the taste. We always try to look out. And when you try to look in, that's what happens in meditation, then you will understand that you can shut off your five senses, and then there is the pure consciousness which has got that ultimate bliss sensation, and at one point you will lose the blissness also. So in the Pancha Kosha Vivegam, we start from outside subtle body, pranic body, and then the innermost, the Ananda body, and then you will lose even that pleasure, and you will become an ultimate calm. People call it bliss. Maybe the people went up to the bliss. There is something beyond bliss where you won't even feel the bliss. That is a neutral state. We clearly stated that Shakti Kalam is nothing. It is not pleasure, it is not unhappiness, it is nothing, but it's a Prunatvam. There is a very good story in the Vedanta explaining this. We are mostly looking out, but we are not looking in, where the pure consciousness resides. 10 disciples of a saint crossed the river. It was a very raging river, water is flowing at a good speed. And once the 10 disciplines crossed the river, they want to make sure that all 10 safely crossed. So a person who is a leader, he came out and he counted the 10 people. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he found only 9 are there. It's quite obvious for anyone, even a kid can say that he haven't recognized himself. He counted only outside. And he felt very bad. So that's how our looking out body and mind works. And then this maybe second senior most discipline said, how come we all trained swimmers? It's impossible. Let me count. And he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh yeah, you are correct. The 10th man is absent. He counted the leader, but he haven't counted himself. And they started mourning and they don't know what to do. And when they are quite sad and thinking what to do next, whether to go ahead with the trip or whether to go back, etc., a very elderly saint is passing by. And he asked, what happened, kids? Why are you sad? And one of them mentioned, sir, we are 10 people. We crossed the river. Unfortunately, one of us died. We felt very bad. And the saint, just by the glance, he can see that there are 10 people. He can easily count. And he said, the 10th person is there. And they're all happy. Wow, the 10th person is there. So nobody died. Oh my goodness, that's very, very happy to hear. But at that point, what's happening is it's only a belief. The 10th person is there. But they have counted only 9. It's only a belief. So when I'm talking at first instance, if you believe the talk, you will believe what Dr. Ananda is speaking, there is some sense in that. He has made some previous talks which also has some sense in the past. So the pure consciousness is the true, the self and mind are not true. Like that, when the saint says the kids that 10 people are there, they are first of all happy. But that is not the final. The proof of the pudding is eating. So the saint said, now you count in front of me. So the person who is always the leader, he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Swami, this is what I said. We have only 9, but you are saying 10th person is alive. And he took the hand and showed at himself and said 10. Then everybody rejoiced. Oh my goodness, what a foolishness. We just counted 9 and we haven't counted us. That is Tattvamasi. So he is the 10th person which he missed. So similarly, pure consciousness, if you start looking outside, if you are looking into any religious principles, temple, churches, mosque, you can't find that. Even after going to the temple, church and mosque, you need to sit still and you need to go inside to know that pure consciousness, shutting off your senses. That's what happens everywhere. What happens in the temple, church and mosque? Prayer. So in the same prayer, we are finding out the pure consciousness. So that is the lesson, that the pure consciousness resides within us, which we can find only when you shut your mind and body, which is a simple thing which we are trying to do in a meditation. So we have seen what is pure consciousness. We have seen what is self. We have seen the self which the body and mind are always auto-functioning because of the karmas and various planetary controls. We have discussed that the self, whatever we are seeing, is not true by dream experiment, by the senses, how it works, and Schrödinger's cat experiment, etc. And why we are not aware of the pure consciousness, because we are always looking out and we never trained to look inside. That's why the meditation is very important, and people who do meditation can easily understand what I mean. So most of you, I hope, at least will be in the stage where that the saint is saying that don't worry kids, the 10 people are there. At least at that stage, I'm sure I've taken all of you there. But whether truly you will understand that it's me, the pure consciousness is the truth, that jump is known as enlightenment. It takes time. That's what defined, and that's the whole purpose of the life. Whether we are achieving it in this janmam or taking further few tens or thousands of janmam is all in your hand. So knowing this pure consciousness is the definition for the enlightenment. I'm not sure if Ganga Kumaran sir had this concept in his mind when he gave me the topic of Ananda, can you discuss on the consciousness and self? So if you are able to understand the concept of pure consciousness and self, you can achieve the ultimate enlightenment. That is the end of everything. There is nothing to travel above, beyond that. I'm very, very confident in that. And I will give you another good example, which is very good in Vedantam, about this pure consciousness. How to understand this pure consciousness. It looks very encouraging. So how to understand this pure consciousness? There is a concept known as Drik, Drishya, Viveka. Drik means whatever we are seeing. Drishya means whatever we seen. So for example, I am a Drik and I am looking at my laptop and talking. So my laptop is the Drishya. And the Viveka means separating. So I am separate, my laptop is separate. Of course, I like the laptop, without which I can't talk to you. So I use that for preparing PowerPoint slides, my day-to-day activity. But even though it's useful, it is separate. That is Dik, Drik, Drishya, Viveka. Now, we all think that this eyes belongs to us. And so, the eyes belongs to us means we should work everything from the eyes point of view. That's what we do every day. We work from the eyes point of view. We see, we decide, we use the eyes as if the eyes belongs to us. But what happens if the eye got pain, a small dust particle entered into the eyes, and it's really irritating, it watering and become red. So you recognize that your eye has got that inflammation or the foreign body particle, and it's giving you the pain and discomfort and blurriness and watering. So you are not the eyes. If you are the eyes, you will not appreciate it as a separate from you. You appreciate your eyes separate from you, and you know its pain, and you know it's resolving, and you know it's got corrected also. So that means the eyes seems to be separate from you. How you know the eye is painful and it's getting better and it's now normal? How you know that? By using your mind. So the mind is the seer and eyes are seen. By using the mind, you see your eyes and you decide that your eyes are healthy or not. Now let's go back to the mind. Is the mind is the ultimate? That's what we think. We think that I'm thinking something, I'm thinking wrongly. Sometimes we feel a bit ashamed that, oh my God, I should not have thought like that. What a bad thought. And that's what we do in introspection, in one of the sky practices, one of the very, very powerful practices in sky, introspection. What we do is we analyze what our mind thinks. If you are the mind, how can you introspect? How can you introspect your mind by using the mind itself? It's not possible. If you think that my mind has thought this, which is correct, my mind has thought this, which is wrong, if you are able to differentiate this and decide what your mind is correct or wrong, that means you are something more than your mind. So how we are traveling is, we understand that we are able to see the body, we are able to feel the body, I'm able to feel the pinch. So this is something apart from me. The body is apart from me. The eyes are apart from me because I can see whether it's healthy or not. And we think that we are feeling this, we are using the eyes only by help of the mind. But mind also, we are only absorbing. We absorb the mind to see that it has had a good thought or a bad thought. In sky practices, we do introspection. How can you do introspect if you are the mind? Is it something like the mind has got like the brain? If you take a physical structure, there is a volume, and you stand at one end of the mind and you observe the rest of the mind? No. And you feel tired. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night, you may feel a bit tired and say, I'm a bit tired. I think I had a long day. Let me go to the sleep. And waking up, you feel my mind is fresh. After drinking a coffee, you may feel that my mind is fresh. So you are able to feel your mind's freshness, tiredness, thoughts, and everything, though there is something beyond your mind from where you operate. That is the main principle of Drik, Drishya, Vivekam. Separate from what you are seeing and what is the seer. If you operate this, you will go back and inwards, and you will end up in the pure consciousness. So if you could understand this and practice it, practice is very important, and without practice nothing will come true. If you are able to practice this, believe me, that is what the enlightenment in practice. There is a difference between having an enlightenment in practice and achieving the enlightenment. When you are having this enlightenment in practice, still it will be you will come across a situation where you will forget that you are the pure consciousness. You will behave as if you are the self, you are this body, and so see, I'm saying that your body and mind itself is not true and not yours. You belong to pure consciousness. I've traveled a little bit far, leave alone the family, friends, children, and everything, so they are coming much more lower than your own body and mind. So I really jumped into the main topic, because the topic given is pure consciousness and self, not pure consciousness and family, pure consciousness and office, etc. So I'm traveling a big jump. I know some people may need some help in this jump first, but ultimately it will happen. It will happen. The thing is whether we are intelligent enough to use the body and mind to make it happen a little bit swiftly in this life, or whether also leaving it to happen as it is, like a self auto mode. The self, body and mind is always in the auto mode. You control it, like how that cow thinks and controlling the whole grass field. It has only to a certain hat, it has the control. So how we can make it real? Now it's like a physics class where we were taught about how the pendulum works, and how the gravity makes the pendulum to come to the center, and because of the overriding inertia it goes to that. So the professor has given a very nice lecture, but that's not complete. They have to go to the lab and then use the pendulum and do the experiment to see in their eyes, yes, whatever we learned is correct and the principles are correct. So after this, whatever the satsang, you should be able to understand it, assimilate it. That is known as Shravanam, Mananam, Nidityasanam. Shravanam is just reading, which you have done. Maybe you can use the YouTube link to revise this again and again. Shravanam is done. Nidityasanam is the one like marination. You should make sure that your body, yourself, and mind get nicely marinated on this concept that you are the pure consciousness. The self and the mind are just the tools given to you. And once you master this Nidityasanam, and if I'm correct, I think it will take easily 1 or 2 years. So Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidityasanam. Once you nicely Mananam, which is memorizing this concept, then the Nidityasanam will happen, which will tingle into every cell of your body. That's where we call that is enlightenment. What happens after enlightenment? Don't worry, nothing will happen. Your debt, if at all, if you have anything, it will be there. Your family will be there. Your daily activities will be there. Your job will be there. Everything will be there. So what is the difference? Why this enlightenment? Nothing has changed. I'm still feeling cold in the winter season and I'm feeling sweat in the summer season. So what is the use of this enlightenment? The use of this enlightenment is you will approach the life in an entirely different concept. You will see beyond your eyes. You will hear beyond your ears. That's what happens. That's where the enlightenment is called as a magic. For example, it happened really. My daughter wore a wrong shoe, and she walked to bouldering with her friends last week Saturday, and unfortunately the shoe made a small print on near the Achilles tendon, and it created the loss of the skin, and she suffered a lot. So, say for example, if the same thing happened 3 years back, I feel very bad for that, and I will approach it in a very, very personal way that you should make sure that your shoes are of correct size and why you have done that. Make sure it's not getting infected. Put this dressing. I will approach it in a very, very apprehensive way as a dad. But once you know, even if that small shoe related injury happened to me, I should not think it's me, it's my body. So my body has got this discomfort, my body has got this illness. So you will get a little bit separate. But having said that, I haven't ignored my daughter. I still gave her whatever, if she wants any paracetamol. I helped her in dressing. So you will still do your all your daily activities, but your heart won't sink for every drop of the hat. You won't get elated for every success. You won't feel bad for every loss. You will approach the world in a kind of equilibrium which is unimaginable. It is unimaginable. That's a word I wish to say so that you all will have the interest to reach that stage. And because of that, what happens is your body and mind become so clear and so clarified that your autonomic nervous system becomes so calm. There will be a good toning of your parasympathetic system and good decrease in your sympathetic tone. Your heart rate normalizes, your blood pressure normalizes, your digestion becomes perfect. So everything will fall in place. It's like the children's playing one where there is a board with like a triangle, cube, circle, sphere, and like a trapezoid, and there will be a lot of shapes. So the children use the touch sensation and the eye sensation to put the cube into the hole where the cube can fit, the cuboid into a hole where cuboid can fit. And once everything is achieved, you can feel that all the holes were nicely filled up and it looks so good. If a child of 1 year old does this play, after till they fill the holes, the child will be having a good amount of anxiety and a kind of an interest to do that, and it will put something in the wrong and it will feel it's not filling it and then try to put it again into the correct one, and once it goes it gets kind of a pleasure, and then it does the second thing and third thing and everything is nicely colorful. Once everything is filled out, it gets a very nice happiness. And if there is a parent next to the child, the child will look into the parent and give a cute smile. See, I have done it. That kind of achievement you will reach if you are able to understand what is self, which is the mind and body, and that's not you, and the pure consciousness is the one you belong to. So what happens, just like a magic, if I take in my hand that sphere, cube, cuboid, pyramid shape, something like that, and just throw into that multiple hole, the toy area, and then it just automatically magically goes and fills. So like that it will happen. The life will fall in place. You will be still doing your job, but the life will fall in space. Your outcome in your hospital management change, your business will change, and people will look at you at a different angle, which is not the purpose of the whole talk. The purpose of the whole talk is to make sure you understand what is pure consciousness and self. But the side effects of understanding this pure consciousness, humongous. And once you start releasing in this and soaking in this, the days go by, the months go by, try not to get yourself into this vehicle of self and mind and try to keep it away again and again and again and again. Then the stage will reach that you can have a perfectly harmonious life, helping others, not getting hurt if somebody really, first of all, once you reach the stage, nobody will hurt you. Believe me, nobody will hurt you. If somebody really wants to hurt you and if they move towards you, the quantum physics will act and change their mind, and they will just forget why they are approached you, and then the whole action will change. That's what happened to the big people, our Maharishi, and nobody can injure our Maharishi during his lifetime. People always approached him with a gratitude, with a thankfulness, and it's all because of him being understanding of what is this pure consciousness. But to really achieve this pure consciousness, you need a strong body and strong mind, without which this will never happen. Once there is a problem in the body, like I said, like a shoe pinch or something like that, even as small as that or as big as anything, once there is a problem in the mind, like for example, a bit of an unhappy feeling because you are in need of an object which is not available, that makes you a bit dull, or a friend or relative scolded you, something like that. Once there is a problem in the body and mind, you can't leave them and go away. You will be stuck to that, and it's very difficult to come away. That's why the Maharishi's principle of all the practices, right, from Kaya Kalpa, simplified Kundalini Yoga exercises, introspection, and the 14 part acupuncture, everything is to make sure that this body and mind is nice and strong and ticked off. If something is nice and strong, for example, your garden has got a lot of grass, so you go in, set your length of the mower, and then put a 10 millimeter and nicely do it, and then you forget it. That's it. Next 2 weeks, I don't have to think about it. Let me enjoy the view of it. That's it. So once you nicely practice Maharishi's all the exercises, Brahmanyanam, introspection, Maunam, and then make your body and mind absolutely strong, then only you can move away from it. Otherwise, the karma will not allow you to do. You can't go to a third standard without completing the second standard. The system won't allow it. So we should make sure that the body and mind are nicely ticked off with Maharishi's principles and go to the ultimate pure consciousness, and that's the way to achieve the enlightenment. Thank you very much for your time. I'm quite happy to receive any questions if there are.
Thank you, Dr. Ananda. It's a good topic. I think you need to have a one-to-one session. You need to learn a little bit more. Very good topic. Any comments, any questions are all welcome.
Ananda, can I come in?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So just a few things, if I may sort of point out, and if I ask your clarification, please. To start with, you said universal consciousness and everything is produced out of it. I would say it's more transformed rather than produced. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So let me answer that question. If you have any multiple questions, let's do it in small bits.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah. So there are various concepts to it. So the first concept is there is pure consciousness and rest of them all is false, like Maya. And second concept is how you mentioned there is pure consciousness, and from which the rest of them are transformed, like how a water vapor is from the water. So they're all like transformed. But in my heart, the best principle is there is only pure consciousness, rest of all just the appearance. It's not transformed, it is just appearance. Say for example, now I will take the same example, like I feel my laptop in front of me is real because I can see the laptop, I can see its shape, I can see its display, everything, it's real. But having said that, it is all because of whatever my mind constructs with the inputs from my eyes. If the laptop is running a movie, the whole thing is much more better because it's not just the visual one, it's also the auditory one. So everything joined together to form the sensation. That's why we like movie better than a picture, because picture don't talk. Picture is feeding only the eyes. But a movie feeds both the eyes and ears, and your mind is able to correlate them and form its own picture. So everything is like formation from nothing. I'm saying nothing because that is not the sensation your dog will get. Sometimes if you're seeing a movie, your dog may come next to you and it just sees the same screen what you're seeing. But do you think the dog understands the movie as same as you? No. Because the dog's instruments, eyes, ears, are different from your instruments. So the dog, which one is true? So why you think that your instrument is the ultimate truth, and if the dog is not able to see a particular color, it's because the dog has got the abnormality. Dog may be absolutely correct and you have an abnormality of seeing an abnormal color, isn't it? So it is impossible to say which is normal because everything is reconstruction. That's how the Big Bang works. In the Big Bang, There is nothing from which everything is constructed, but there is no reality in it. That's what the definition of the Maya is. How can you know that? Take a water. Say, for example, if you take water, just get inside, you will have H2O, and then you get inside, then you have hydrogen and oxygen, then you get inside, you have the proton, neutrons, and electrons, and then you get inside, you will get into the quantum phase. Nothing is there. The same nothingness is there even before the Big Bang. So everything is nothingness, everything is construction, and then we believe that it is true and we are running the life because we need something to rely on. So that's how the body and the mind functions. So for your question, Sivakumar, 3 levels.
Yeah.
The first level is there is pure consciousness and there is material. Both are true. That's what the Sankhyan principle is.
Yeah.
The second principle, what he said is there is pure consciousness and the material is transformed from that. Nothing wrong in it. It's how we will grow. But the best concept is there is pure consciousness and there is only pure consciousness, one and only. Everything is just the appearance. If we are able to work on this with again and again feeding our body and mind that the pure consciousness is the ultimate truth, list of them, or just the appearance, then we will get much more clarified and we can approach the life in a very different wavelength. Thank you very much. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Second one, sorry, can I follow?
Yes, please.
You mentioned about the terminology of consciousness in day-to-day life. Would you say we can call that as awareness rather than consciousness? How do you differentiate between awareness and consciousness?
Yes, we can. End of the day, they are all just the nomenclature, as I said, name and form. So, for example, for a layman, or even if you ask a professor who is practicing, wonderful medical professor, if you ask him what is consciousness, he will say the brain is producing consciousness, which you named as awareness. And that consciousness is the what which makes you awake, which makes you to walk without hitting anything, makes you to decide when to eat and everything. So consciousness is produced from the brain. So if you see historically, there are only few groups. There is one group which said consciousness is ultimate. The people can label that pure consciousness as God, and everything came out of it. So the God created the universe, the God created the world. So pure consciousness, Big Bang, produced everything. That is one group. The other group is materialist. The material is the true. My body is absolutely true. I can feel it. I can slap it. I can do anything. So this is true. And my body has got brain, which I can see. If I open my skull, I can see. So material is true, from which the consciousness arises somehow. That's where the scientists are work, because scientists are focused on the body and mind. And that's what everything lies on the body is the main thing, and the consciousness is arising out of it. We don't know how it arises, and we will tell you in next 40 years. That's what they're saying for the past many 40 years, which they will never reach as a scientist, because they are looking in the wrong direction. So if you say awareness, the awareness is just a name. You can say the same awareness with a consciousness. The easiest way is the awareness, what you mentioned, is nothing but pure consciousness with something. If pure consciousness is enjoying a coffee, releasing its taste and understanding what is the coffee, that is awareness. I'm aware that I'm drinking a coffee. It's quite hot. It's nice and tasty. The flavor is good. So that is awareness. So awareness is nothing but pure consciousness. We are quantifying with something, a material, a taste, or something like that. So if you remove the quantities, only the pure consciousness will remain. That's what we are trying to achieve in the meditation. In the meditation, we are coming out of our senses, we are coming out of our body and mind and relate ourselves with the pure consciousness. Since you relate yourself with the pure consciousness, that gives the wonderful opportunity for the mind and body to get rewired and make it as good as possible, homeostasis, everything. So that is the science behind how the meditation works. I can talk in another 45 minutes on a different day on what is the science behind meditation, how it helps in coinciding with the pure consciousness, and indirectly as a side effect you get healthy body and mind.
Thank you, Ananda. I will leave it to others to ask you questions. As always, very beautiful presentation and lots of analogies and other things.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Only one observation, Ananda, when you said about your daughter's issue, I was thinking in Tamil, சொல்லுவாங்க புளியும் அந்த கோதும் மாதிரி இருக்கும்னு சொல்லி. It was there inside, but it's not. பற்றற்ற வாழ்க்கை. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, like if you take that puli, which is like a tamarind, when in the early stage, when it's at the unripe stage, you can't separate the skin from the actual tamarind. And in fact, I have tasted it. It's quite very very sharp taste. You need to nicely wash and eat it with the skin. So that's how all our life is. We got so entangled. This is my body, this is my mind. Oh, I'm feeling unhappy now. Oh, I'm feeling happy now. And like the unripe tamarind, we got related ourselves with this body and mind. And once you slowly understand the reality and then travel in the part of the enlightenment, how the skin gets nicely hardened and dried, and then the inside the tamarind gets separates from the hardened skin. That's what the separation of yourself into the pure consciousness away from your own body and mind. I think that's the example you're trying to say, Ganga Kumaran sir.
Yes. ஓடும் புளியும் போல.
Yes.
Okay. If no further comments, then Sundar, we can do உலக நலவேற்பு. Thank you, Dr. Ananda, again. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you very much. வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you for the opportunity.